A long time ago, when I was a lot younger and didn't have any kids of my own, I used to think that fatherhood was a thing. I used to think that it was a phase, it was a period which, adults actually go through with their partners and they have kids and everything that sort. And, time passes by and they grow up and whatnot. But since we have had kids, the one thing that has become a realization: fatherhood is not actually a thing, it's not a phase, it's not a process, it's basically a feeling. It is a lived experience, it is something that you experience right from the get go. From the very thought of you actually having a child, eventually, well before your child is actually born, and you'd realize that you could actually talk to your kid while he or she is still in his or her mother's belly, and they would hear you, they would recognize you. That thought in itself is something that creates a bond, a longing to see your child. That happened to me. And after the kids were born, each of them, from the moment that I held them in my arms, I was, alhamdulillah, granted the honor of carrying my babies or holding my babies first before anybody else, not even my wife. It was an honor. It was an absolute honor that I, to this day, and probably never, ever, ever, will I be able to thank Allah enough for this. But from that point on to giving the adhan in their ears, to being able to take care of them when they're sick, to be able to play with them, to be able to give them all the love that you could potentially have for anybody, times that an infinity, as my son calls it, the biggest number that he knows, infinity or infinity. And that that feeling, that feeling is fatherhood. Nothing less than that can ever be said about fatherhood, or even motherhood for that matter. Motherhood has its own grounded and extremely beautiful phase, extremely beautiful feeling or an emotion attached to it. The same way fatherhood is. We feel as fathers a lot different than what mothers do. But believe me, if you will, and I believe I'm sounding the thoughts of every other father who has truly and honestly loved and been there for their child. You cannot take away the father from you yourself ever again once you've been there. And you wouldn't want to. I definitely don't want to. I want to see my children grow up, but at the same time, I don't want to. I want to hold them closer. And you know what the best feeling is? When your child is actually in bed, lying with you, holding you, hugging you, and even in the middle of the night, they're asleep, they're sound asleep, but they somehow reach towards your hand. Somehow they reach towards your neck and they want to hold you and hug you in the middle of the night, and they recognize you. And as Sarah says, my daughter, squish squish. She does this in the middle of the night when she's asleep. How can that ever be forgotten, or how can that ever be a phase or process in the life of a man? That is a lived experience. That is an emotion, a feeling, and everything is so beautiful about fatherhood that way.